Russell, it's the trifecta.
Yeah.
I thought we'll be done in part 2, but you have so much to share, and I think the audience and the viewers deserve to listen to and hear everything we have to share over here. So great. Russell, tell me a little bit about your personal life. How many brothers and sisters are you?
I have 6 brothers and 1 sister, and we're all in the same business.
So it's 8 of you total, or 7?
8.
8 of you total, and everyone is in the same business.
Yes.
Sister too?
Well, yeah, she just recently retired.
Oh, okay.
From El Toro, but yeah,
so she was in El Toro.
Yeah,
she was running.
5 siblings work together at El Toro, and 3 of us are independent.
She was running the bull.
Yeah, I had the bull by the horns.
Hey, so I know one thing by reading your blog. You have the blog on gringos.com, and I've read a couple of them, and I know you are very passionate about the veterans.
Yes, Camp Hope.
And you do this Camp Hope thing, and you had I think, is he a CFO, Kim?
Yeah, Jonathan Kim, my chief operating officer.
Yeah, so he's a chief operating officer. I know he did this, wanted to raise money for the veterans, and did a whole bunch, like 1,000 or 2,000 pull-ups.
Close. Well, Jonathan,
tell us a little bit about that.
So there was a book I read called Living with the SEAL, written by Jesse Itzler. Jesse is the owner of the Atlanta Hawks, and he's married to the lady who owns Spanx.
Okay.
So they're very wealthy. They live up in the upper west side of New York, near Central Park. And so he wrote this book, and the SEAL, David Goggins, was the SEAL who trained him for a month. And it made him do crazy things, crazy workouts in the middle of the winter. But so one of the things David did was he set a record of pull-ups in one day of 4,000 pull-ups in one day. And so Jonathan's 50, at the time was 50 years old, and this is 2 years ago. And so he enjoys working out, and I always joke with him that he has to work out because his wife is 30 years old. So we were talking about the book and David Goggins and the pull-ups, and I said, Jonathan, how many pull-ups do you think you could do? So he started doing the math, and he said possibly 2,000 in one day. So he started training for it. And we tried to tie it into a fundraiser for Camp Hope. And this was probably January of 18. And so that's what he did. He started training, and we were going to schedule a fundraiser at Camp Hope where Jonathan would attempt 2,000 pull-ups in one day. And over the course of the 4 or 5 months leading up to the event, he had worked up to an 1,800 workout pull-up. So he was really ready to hit the 2,000 mark. And so he gets there in the morning with his support team and starts the event around 7 a.m. And what he would do is he would do 4 pull-ups a minute, rest, and then repeat on the minute, every minute for 1 hour. And then at the end of the hour, he would rest 15 minutes and then repeat the whole thing all over again. Well, the night before the event, he went out and had some crawfish. And apparently it did something to his body. And around pull-up 600, he ran into problems. His arm started hurting and cramping up on him. And so as the day progressed, he went from 4 a minute to 3 a minute to 2 a minute to 1 a minute. But he wasn't going to quit, which was amazing to witness. And so around 1,841, I had to walk up to him, 1,842 pull-ups. I had to walk up to him and said, Jonathan, you can stop now. You did it. And at that moment, he actually stopped. But he was not going to quit. It was amazing. And this is probably around 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And the entire gym at the Camp Hope, which is named after him, the Jonathan Kim gym, was in there. There must have been, 50, 75 people in there witness him do this at the end. And it was incredible to watch. But after he stepped down, and these veterans that were there that are going through the course, they saw what he had just done for them, and they got up and finished out the remaining 158 pull-ups. And it was really nice. And at the very end, he had one more in him, but in the process, he was able to raise like $110,000 for Camp Hope for our veterans there.
Wow, that's good. So can he still do 2,000 pull-ups?
He could, but he can scratch the bottom of his feet without bending over.
Really?
His arms are so long now.
Wow, that's good. So tell us why is this Veterans of Camp Hope so close to you? I mean, is there a reason for it?
I mean, I love our veterans. What they do for our country is incredible. The sacrifice. I mean, I don't know how many months you've ever been away from your spouse, but I just can't imagine being away months and years in some cases.
From your kids and spouse and family. Yeah,
that's a sacrifice, and then to go there and just be a target with all these IEDs and just coming back with no limbs, and many of them being killed, and of course some come back with PTSD. And so I think it's important for us as a society, because we're losing 22 veterans a day. And if there's a veteran out there suffering from PTSD, 818-717 PTSD will there's a veteran that answers the phone.
That's the hotline.
Yes.
Say, repeat the number if you don't mind.
You know what? I'll double check that. It's either 818-717 PTSD or 888-717 PTSD.
Okay, but they can Google it.
Yeah, they can.
Okay.
Yeah,
so tell us about this. What when they call this number, the hotline for PTSD?
Yeah, it's answered by a veteran.
Okay.
It's peer-to-peer counseling.
Wow.
And currently we're losing, like I said, 22 veterans a day. It's way too many, and a lot of them they're on so many different drugs. It's incredible that the VA is giving them these drugs, but. Yeah, they're in a different place, and we're trying to get them out of it, and it works. There's some incredible stories and testimonies about the program.
Well, you've been a big supporter of the Camp Hope, so we appreciate that. I mean, you don't have to serve in to be a veteran, but if helping a veteran is a great duty as well.
I think
so
we all need to do our part, whatever it is.
So going back over here, 7 brothers, 7 brothers, 1 sister.
Right.
Man, how did y'all must have given her hell?
My mom?
No,
or my sister?
Your sister.
Yeah, we gave both of them hell, yeah.
Mom and sister, huh?
Yeah, it was a challenge growing up in a house like that.
And so you started working with your dad. You said your brothers are now running the tortilla factory. And
also Johnny Tamales and Iguana Joe's.
Yeah, so also, now tell us, we talked about the other day about your brands. You said that you started Gringos, and then because you had told me because of the locations, if they were too close to a Gringos, you ended up coming up with the rebranding with another brand.
Right, Jimmy Chongas.
Jimmy Chongas, and now you have 4 Jimmy Chongas, right?
Correct.
You also opened up other brands. Tell us a little bit about those brands.
Well, near our office in LaPorte at Underwood and Spencer, there's not a whole lot of places to eat out, so I've always wanted more choices. And one of them was the Lunchbox. We opened the Lunchbox right at, I think, 4 years ago now. And what we offer there basically is clean food, meaning that our meats, all the deli meats have no nitrates, no preservatives in the bread, no high fructose corn syrup, no MSG. So it's just clean foods, and it's all made fresh in house from scratch. All the soups and the salads and all. It's just a delicious place, and it's very busy. It's only open 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, but it's amazing how busy they are.
So is it in an office area,
It's in a strip center that we own. Yeah,
that you own.
Yeah, we own that.
And so what time you open over there?
They open at 10:30 or 11 o'clock to 3.
11 to 3. So people get there about 9:30.
No. They'll get there at 10:30, 11. Yeah.
10:30?
Oh, you're talking about our staff?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get there 7, 8.
7, 8. Start prepping and everything, and then leave like 5. So
4 or 5.
4 or 5 o'clock. Okay, so that's Lunchbox is one. What other one you have?
We opened up. Even prior to the Lunchbox, we opened up Burritos in 2008.
Uh-huh.
So we started that brand, but we sold it, and after growing it to 22 units, we sold it.
So you owned Burritos and you grew it to 22 units, and then you sold it.
Right, but they're all franchises. We owned one store, a corporate store, and we still own that store today.
Oh, you still own the one store?
Yeah.
And then what else you have?
We also have Burger Libre.
Burger Libre.
Yeah, which it's a no holds barred burger place.
Really?
Yeah, it's a luchador themed burger place in LaPorte, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, the Mucho Macho burger and the Classico. And
so a lot of your restaurants I see are in LaPorte, Pasadena, Pearland. Is there a reason for that?
Well, a lot of them are there, but we're also covered in the north side very well by my franchise partner, which was my second general manager.
Joel?
Yeah, Joel Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
So he owns the Woodland, Cypress Spring, Fuquay. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go with this. You have opened up some different concepts.
Right.
But
they're one-offs at this point.
but one-offs at this point.
Yeah.
Would you ever want to grow it?
Well, if we get the numbers where we feel comfortable,
Uh-huh.
yes, definitely.
What is your feeling of scaling a business? I mean, you have definitely scaled Gringos,
Right.
and I see you have opened up several Iguana Joes. So
Giant tamales.
I mean, sorry,
Giant tamales.
Jo-
You said Iguana Joe's. That's my brother's.
I'm sorry, not Iguana Joe's. I'm sorry, Jimmy Changas.
Jimmy Chong.
Yes. So what is your opinion of scaling a business? If someone wants to scale it, what will be your tip for somebody who's listening to us? I mean, how to scale a business, why to scale a business, and what should they do? Some of the lessons that you have learned.
Well, I've always believed in making sure if you grow, don't grow to the point where you're diluting the brand.
Okay.
That's number one.
Diluting the brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, what good is it to open a new restaurant if the other one starts suffering?
Okay.
So when we're ready, we're ready. And part of what we have to do now is make sure that we have a management team to actually run the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to always bring in a tenured GM to operate, someone that's been with us a while, that understands our culture and our philosophy and operations. But we've always made sure that all our stores are running properly before we move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading the book In and Out Story, In and Out Burgers, and it's amazing the following they have and the level of execution, the excellence that they do today. And they're still considered a very, very small hamburger brand because I believe they only have like 300 or 400 locations at the most. But you wouldn't know that by driving by one. There's one there in Stafford. I don't know if you've been there yet, but
No, I haven't.
They have 2 police officers directing traffic.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't wait 2 hours to get a burger.
No, well, I wouldn't either. But they're extremely busy, and they do really well. But I still enjoy a good Whataburger myself.
Yeah.
But I enjoy an In-N-Out every once in a while.
Tell me one thing. What is the one thing that has made you successful?
I think about this often. My wife and I were having dinner once, and I told her, if there was one thing that I would have to say is the reason why I'm where I'm at today, it is because I've lived my life by the golden rule. I truly have, and probably a bigger degree than what most people think of the golden rule as being. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and that's very important. But there was a book I read years ago called The Law of Success in 16 Lessons, written by Napoleon Hill. Fantastic book. And he talks about it. And what's interesting, and I didn't know at the time when I picked the book up, and I had already incorporated this philosophy, but that was the name of his last chapter, The Golden Rule. But he talked about it just a little bit differently than most of us think of it. You will treat another person the way you want to be treated almost all the time. But it's really more about how you think toward a person, how you believe toward a person. And especially even people you may not like. I wish the best upon everyone because I want to wish the best upon myself. And I think that that is really the key to success at the end of the day, because all of us are the makers of our own destiny, and it is through our thoughts and our actions by which we will do our making. And our mind is so powerful. And if you direct it in the wrong way, you're going to yield the wrong results. I can guarantee you that, because this world, we only get one shot at it, and you want to make the most of it. And I think at the end of the day, it's about people. It's how you treat them. It's how you think toward them. And I think, we can't predict our future, but we can definitely shape it through the choices we make, the habits we develop, and the people we choose to be around. And I choose to be around people that are going to make me better as an individual and as a business person. And if I can do all that, encapsulate it, I think that I'm on the right path, and I hope others are there to follow.
That's awesome. The golden rule. So
The golden rule.
the golden rule. I love it. And this was you said you read the Napoleon Hill's book.
The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. Yeah.
And that's powerful. That is a great one. I don't know how to cap that one up. Let's talk about a couple of things. If you have to share 3 things with the world, okay, you leave 3 things, the world, your future generation, your grandkids, what would you share?
Well, for one, and we touched on it a little bit, but the importance of giving. There's something very, very powerful in giving, and not just of monetary means, but but your time, volunteers. My cousin Rick Noriega heads up the Ronald McDonald House here in Houston, and they have a staff of 50 people, paid staff, half full-time, half part-time. And then I asked, I had breakfast with them this past week, and I asked them, how many volunteers do you have? They have 600 volunteers. And I said, could you survive without your volunteers? He said, there's no way. And I think, volunteering your time is so important. And the people you meet that do the same thing, I think the networking alone is invaluable. You can't put a price on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously very, very important.
Time.
Time, yeah. Another thing people need to do is always take responsibility for their own actions. If you live in a world where you're blaming people for where you're at, then you're never going to get out of it. It's almost a cancer on yourself by believing that someone else caused you to be where you're at. Everything that happens for you in life is usually mostly internal. It's not external forces, but internal forces. Because the worst enemy you ever meet in your entire life is the one you see in the mirror every single morning. That person would do more harm to you than anyone else. So you want to make sure you have a check on that person. And so it begins by taking responsibility for your own actions, for sure. Something also very, very important, and because this is going to happen to everybody, is learning how to resolve conflict, because they're coming. Business, I'm a believer in locking hands instead of locking horns, and I'll do everything I can, knowing that even if the perception is I lost, in my mind, as long as I know I won. But it's not about winning. Sometimes it's really about getting through it, surviving it, because business, and especially in business, but personal too, relationships, you're going to have conflict. They're coming. They're always coming. But I'm proud to say that we have remained out of a lot of lawsuits for good reason, and you got to be very proactive. But I just think that that's one thing most people don't understand, that when they get into a conflict with someone or some organization, that it's about them winning. That winning is not always the most important aspect of it. It's about surviving it and getting through it to the other side, so you can continue on your path that you want to be on, because you don't want to get knocked off your course. You just don't. And it can be easily done in this day and age, especially with social media and technology and all. All you got to do is Google someone's name, and it'll tell you a lot about that person almost instantaneously. So guard your reputation, the most important asset you'll ever own.
That's powerful. About locking hands instead of locking horns. A lot of people don't understand, because ego get in people's way. Definitely. Ego is the biggest killer of you. People get egotistical, and then they lose their jobs and livelihoods and businesses and families and everything. So I love this locking hands instead of locking horns.
Yeah, lock hands instead of locking horns.
Conflict, that's something, because there's a lot of people who run away from conflict. But I love your advice over here, that you should learn how to deal with conflict.
Right.
Because so tell me about, what do you think about people who run away from conflict?
Well, not so much. A lot of people run toward it. That's the problem too, though. They create it. They enjoy it. There are people that love drama. They love drama. Yeah. And you want to stay away from those kind of people. They're not good.
So there are people who run towards it, and then there are people who run away from it, and they ignore it, and then the problem just becomes bigger and bigger. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah. Well,
but do you think running away from a conflict is a good idea?
Avoiding it. I don't want to say running.
Or avoiding it.
Avoiding it, yeah.
Avoiding is a better idea.
Yes.
Running away from it is not a good idea.
No. You have to get through it.
You got to get through it.
Yeah. You have to get through it.
This is great. What is some of the stuff, the habits that you do, some of your processes?
I am a creature of habit. I'll drink the same thing, eat the same thing, and I'll do the same. Even for lunch, right now I'm eating tortilla soup and just the vegetables. I've been doing that for 2-3 weeks now, and I'll do that for a little bit, and then I'll change direction and do something else. But
you eat tortilla soup every day?
For lunch at the office.
For lunch at the office. So tell me, like, you wake up in the morning. Do you? Is there something you do? Do you drink your coffee? Do you wake up on the right side? Do you wake up on the left side? Do you meditate? Do you work out? Give me some of your routines.
Well, I just, like anyone else, I just get up, I hit the shower and get my coffee, and I'm on the road. It's just simple as that. I don't read anything in the morning. I may check emails real quickly, but I just like to get to work as soon as I can, but I try to also in the mornings before I head to the office, I hit some of the stores, some of the locations in the morning because I like to hit the restaurants early in the morning because it shows me the way they left the store overnight, the condition of it, the cleanliness and all, the detailing because we're real big about maintaining clean kitchens. So I'll always make sure that I point things out to make sure that they're not missing stuff, and usually they enjoy the feedback, and I always give it in a very constructive way. I mean, I appreciate everything they do because it is hard work at the end of the day. But I'm not critical. I'm never critical. I'm always very supportive and try to give them constructive input.
What time your day starts? What time your day finishes?
Starts around 6:30.
6:37. Is that when you leave the house? Or
No. That's when I wake up.
That's when you wake up.
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, and then I'll return. Mostly in the afternoons lately because my wife takes care of our 2 grandchildren a couple days a week. So I like to get there and play with them in the afternoons. But I'll do some business networking at night, whether it's at the Oak Room with someone like you or others. But we just got back from the Oak Room this past Saturday. No, God, man, my days are messed up. Let's see, Monday.
Okay.
Monday evening. And we had a great dinner at Mastro's with about 8 of us.
Okay.
I should have called you. You could have come and joined
You
us.
should have.
Next time.
Next time. So, yeah, I like going to Mastro's. I like going to Oak Room.
Yeah.
One more, and I appreciate you getting me there.
Yeah,
So thank you. You travel a lot.
I
Okay,
love to travel. That's my passion.
What is the best place you've ever visited?
Oh my God. That's like asking, what is your favorite food? I mean,
One that sticks out. How about that?
well, I've been to Pamplona, Spain 4 times
Okay.
to run with the Bulls, and I'll be back this coming July.
So did you run with the Bulls?
The very first time I traveled there, I was there to run.
Now let me ask you a question. I want to run with the Bulls.
Okay, let's do it.
Is it scary?
No. Well, let me back up a little bit. The very first time I went, the date was 7/7/7. And the event starts on the 7th day of the 7th month, and it lasts for 7 days. And the actual event is called San Fermin. And so it kicks off, the event kicks off with ceremonies on July 6th, but the first running is July 7th at 8 a.m. And then it's basically every holiday that the United States celebrates, all wrapped up in 7 days. I mean, everything. They have fireworks, all kinds of parades, and it's a really cool event to attend. So when I was there the first time, I was there with my brother and brother-in-law. And because of the significance of the date 7/7/7, there were so many people there that the police had to remove a huge section of the course, and I was in that section. So I got pushed off along with hundreds of other people, and I didn't get a chance to run with them, which is probably a good thing. But a lot of people think the bulls are dangerous. It's not the bulls; it's the people on the course. They push you, and you'll slip and fall, and the streets kind of are wet in the morning at 8 a.m. So that was the danger. But the last 3 times I've been in the balcony watching it, and I'll be in the balcony this next trip as well.
You're gonna watch it. Not gonna run it.
Right.
You already ran it.
Well, I was there to run it. I didn't run it. Got kicked off. So
Okay. So now let me ask you: do people get injured over there?
oh yeah.
A lot of people.
Not a lot, but there are some that get injured,
Some
get gored. What happens is the course has a couple of turns on it, and the streets are obviously very narrow
And slippery.
And so
There's a lot of pavers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what happens is these bulls, there's like 11 of them. There's 5 bulls and 4 or 5 of another kind of cow. But anyway, so they're running up the street, and when they make these turns, sometimes the cow or the bull will slip. And when he gets back up, the rest of the bulls are already on their way to the bull ring, and he's disoriented. So he gets up and starts looking around. That's when it's dangerous, and that's when you need to get out of there as quickly as you possibly can, because it's going to get
nasty.
It's going to get very nasty. Yeah.
So you say Spain is one of the.
Spain's an incredible country. Our routine is we fly into Barcelona. We're there for a couple of nights, and then we take the train to Pamplona. The first time we went, my brother-in-law was in charge of the train tickets. So we get to the train station in the morning or in the afternoon to head to Pamplona, and we learned that we were getting there when the train was actually arriving in Pamplona. He misread the tickets, so we didn't have a train. To take us to Pamplona, and on that particular day, they're full. You can't get a seat.
You can't get a seat.
So I had to go out and commandeer a taxi driver. And so, fortunately, I found one. I think it's probably my third try approaching a taxi driver, and he agreed to take us to Pamplona, Spain, for 1,000 or 1,100 euros at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's a 5.5 hour. It's a 5 hour or 5.5 hour trip one way. So it was a 10-hour trip for him. But he was happy.
He was happy. He made $1,100.
Yeah.
So he probably had to call his wife and say, "Baby, I'll be there. I'll be there real late."
He did call his wife as well.
What is so you say you're a person of routine. You get stuck in a habit of eating the same tortilla soup. What are some of the restaurants you visit to in Houston besides your own?
Well, believe it or not, I rarely eat at my own as a dining experience because I can't relax there. Because if I'm sitting down, I'm looking around.
You're looking around. You try to look at work.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can never sit and relax and enjoy myself at my own restaurants, unfortunately. But my favorite restaurants in Houston when I do go out are the Hugo's restaurants, Hugo's, Xochi, and Caracol. Fantastic restaurants and fantastic people. Tracy Vault, his wife, and Hugo Ortega. But also enjoy some of the other independents in town. Of course, Johnny Caraba being one of them. But there's a new one, not a new one, but Cafe Annie has kind of revamped their brand.
Was it RDG?
Well, it's not RDG anymore. It's the...
Is it back to Cafe Annie?
Yeah, it's back to Cafe Annie. But Robert Del Grande partnered with Benjamin Berg, who runs B&B Butchers, B&B BB Lemon, and some other BB Italia now, which used to be Carmelo Maro's restaurant. So he partnered with Robert Del Grande, and they did a fantastic job, and I highly recommend it. The bar is incredible.
Yeah, I haven't gone to Cafe Annie in a while. When it turned into RDG, I think it's been about 4 or 5 years.
Well,
I haven't been there.
It's nothing like that.
Really?
They remodeled the entire upper floor, second floor, and the bar is incredible.
Need to go over there. So that's one of your...
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
All right.
And some others here and there.
What is preferred choice of cars? What will that be?
Well, right now it's a Mercedes-Benz. I've been driving a Mercedes last 7-8 years, something like that, 9 years maybe.
Right. How do you relax? What do you do to relax? What do you do to have fun?
Believe it or not, I enjoy relaxing at a bar, having a margarita.
Margarita
At Hugo's.
At Hugo's.
Oh yeah.
Margarita, sitting at the bar at Hugo's, sipping a margarita is relaxing.
I don't play golf. I don't have the time. Plus, I'll never be good at it. I do enjoy going to Vegas quite a bit to see UFC fights and other things.
Regular boxing or just UFC?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I love good boxing.
Yeah. Did you get a chance this Saturday to watch the Charlo brothers fight?
No.
Yeah. You know who Charlo brothers are?
No.
So these guys are from Houston. They're from A-Leaf. And they've been really making the Charlo twins, been making a splash in the boxing, and you'll probably see them in Vegas soon.
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, they're big. They're gonna be pretty big.
Yeah, I think you're joining me next month, right?
Yes, sir. I am. Thank you so much for the invite.
I already have the tickets for the fight, UFC. Yeah.
All right, I'm excited.
Yeah, we're gonna go see Conor McGregor.
And I told my brother about that, and he was just like, he's in Thailand, and he's already texted me a couple of times. We're still going to the fight, right? I said, yes, we are. Yeah. So I appreciate for the invite. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you coming. And I mean, there's a lot of things we shared. There's a lot of things I think our audience and our listeners and our viewers will find powerful messages, the golden rule and everything else. And I appreciate you coming and taking the time, from your busy life.
Thank you for having me.